So I will start in 3, 2, 1. So this house regret the rise of hate watching in sports. So first we need to understand what hate watching is. So what is hate watching? Hate watching is a way where certain people consumes media or TV shows they personally dislike simply because they enjoy mocking or criticize any certain flaws that exist to it or that is applied to it. For example, the context of hate watching in sports. Hate watching in sport is a way where you are intentionally watching matches of sports where you are only watching it because you want to hate, you want to mock, you want to criticize any certain team who is lost. So now that you always says repetitively that it gonna destroy the purpose or the intention of watching sports entirely or completely. I could confidently say that it's not true entirely because here's the problem. So, of course, it is obvious it will contain negative impact. It will contain any negativity if we see it, if you view it in short term of impact. But what if we see it in the long term of impact? So, imagine if someone outside the community decide to participate to hate on certain team or certain player who is lost. Of course, first it will just obvious that it's a negative impact, it contains toxic, but what if we see it further? So if they continue to hate over time, hate on certain player continuously, they will eventually be familiar with the player or the team they are hating, and eventually they are going to learn more about it, the team, the player, and at the end they will have more knowledges at that community. So by the knowledge they have learned, they could join a community properly because of what knowledges they have known is they contain is enough to be a standard to join a community. Also, by a mere hate, watching it could increase of the hype of community drastically. It will become a trend, or perhaps it will goes viral, and of course, it will benefit certain association that is related to it just because of their popularity. For example, a businessman. A lot of businessmen, we could assume they are going to willingly invest on a certain facility of sports to make an event such as tournament because they assume it has a potential because of the popularity where if they make an event of like tournaments, there will be a lot of people who's gonna buy the ticket just to witness or just to watch the match in real time. For example, as football. Also, it could help influencer or content creator to make an idea of content. So, if we imagine a content creator who have run out of idea entirely, they could use this to make a content like the current situation of the World Cup, etc. Also additional because certain sports community is too wide. It's safe to assume its talk about is quite universal. So the relevancies could expand to any part of the world. Whatever you're talking about, they could be related to it, they have the knowledge about it, and you won't be a niche person. And for the last, it could increase the competitivity, not just in the sports, but publicly, or I could say the fans. Because of course, we knew that win or loss, it is completely or entirely relative, right? And in certain cases, it could benefit or giving us advantage socially. So imagine if you are just walking around publicly and suddenly there's someone talking about a community you are also in, but they are liking on the team you dislike. So if you decide to join, it could probably make a chance where you will argue of which team is the best. Of course, this is the first is a negative impact, toxic, but if we see it further, it could lead to relationship as friendship. So like first, you have a lot of things in common. For example, you are inside the same community, where the community as football or soccer, they make an event such as World Cup every year. So it will be relevant over time and will not die, and that will make it is impossible for you to lose contact. And also, we all know that sometimes mockery could be an inner joke in a friendship, which is leading to where it will lead to closeness or familiarity in friendship. And despite of the negativity, it also contains certain advantages. And despite all the public hate, the players just could ignore it. They just couldn't care less about it. And again, despite the hate, it will just become it will just cause their fame to increase drastically. So over time, they're going to be more famous, and because you are talking about real consequences, you said that the fans will make them to perform as they expect. It's not a pressure at all, because what are real consequences? Could it apply to the player physically or something real? No, because if you are talking about pressure or mental health, there's something there's this thing called apathetic, where they just could ignore, they just could don't care about it, and they will still get paid by